Right, in today's episode, I hope to provide you with some educational content around how essentially to make dieting easier, right? So I'm going to run through how I'm dieting, how you can use MyFitnessPal correctly, but also you can use it to save you a lot of time, and sort of like basically how my approach in terms of doing things, but also my approach in terms of the way I structure my clients' way of doing things. So personally, I will sort of like flexible diet, right? So a lot of people will go a bit too heavy on that, in my opinion. So they think, oh yeah, if I have 3 McDonald's but I'm still within my calories, then yeah, I can still lose weight and build muscle, blah, blah, blah. To a certain extent, yeah, calories in, calories out, all that shit. But it's not going to be the best for your gut, it's not going to be the best for your overall health, you're going to be sleeping pretty rough. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for argument's sake, that can be done, but from an overall health standpoint, like obviously you're not going to want to do that, right? And you're going to be put off from that after probably like 2-3 days, right? So how I'll approach it is, I believe, eat a little bit of shit, crap, whatever you want to call it, junk food, in order for you to be consistent with the journey, right? So 80% whole foods, really like healthy, good foods, all that thing, all that jazz, and then 20% chocolate, biscuits here and there, cereal, like whatever it may be, right? The reason I approach it that way, I mean, some people go like, you got to have chicken and rice, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be really, really strict if you want to achieve a certain result, and yeah, that's great for a certain individual, right? But for the majority of people, that is not sustainable. People who work long hours in an office or wherever they're going to be working, people who have families, all these different things, right? So that is not sustainable, in my opinion anyway. The reason I have this approach is because consistency is the name of the game, right? When it comes to, for example, building muscle, dropping body fat, whatever it may be, prepping for a marathon, whatever it is, right? In order for you to be consistent, you can't be cutting everything out left, right and centre. I think that you need to have some of these things that you enjoy. In my case, like cereal, love cereal. It might be chocolate bars, it might be biscuits, it might be cereal like me, whatever it may be, right? I think you need to keep them things in for as long as possible in order for you to stay consistent, right? Because like I've said, consistency is the name of the game when it comes to getting that certain result that you're working towards, right? If you're not going to be consistent, then you're not going to actually reach that goal. So if we can use these foods that you enjoy that aren't the best for you, if we can use them as more of like a catalyst to help you be consistent with the other 80%, then we're on to a winner, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously going towards the back end of a diet where you're going to have to make a lot more sacrifices, right? Maybe you can't go on as many nights out, maybe you have to cut them biscuits out or that bowl of cereal or whatever it is, you know what I mean? That is going to have to happen the deeper you get into a diet. That's just facing facts, right? But the aim is to keep them things in for as long as possible so you can obviously maintain that consistency, and then it's much, much easier for you to reach that goal. And I would argue it makes the process so much more enjoyable. And that's obviously a massive part of it. If the process isn't enjoyable, if you're viewing it like a chore, then even if you reach the goal that you actually want to achieve, but you've done it in a way that's very restrictive, unsustainable, like you've not enjoyed it, you're only going to probably maintain that goal for a couple of weeks. It's a matter of time before you go back to square one again and you're looking for another way in terms of how to actually reach that goal again. Because yes, you've achieved the goal, great, but how you've gotten there is in a way that you've absolutely hated. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, right, well, what's the actual point? Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to run you through my obviously calories. So I'm hitting around 2.5 at the minute on a training day, 200 gram of protein, 2.3 on a rest day. Again, same on the protein. Run you through sort of like how to use obviously MyFitnessPal. Obviously run through sort of like meal timings as well. That's obviously going to allow you to obviously achieve better results as well. And yeah, let's get into it. Right, so as you can see, the standard 9 eggs, 2 slices of sourdough, job done. You probably just saw me fail crack an egg everywhere as well. Right, sweet. So I'm gonna try and share this. So this is MyFitnessPal. Majority probably. Where is that? Is that gonna focus or what? Right, I'll have to do even on that. There we go. Right, so this is MyFitnessPal, right? So I pay for the premium. I think if you're going to use it pretty much every day, then it's much easier. Benefits of the premium, right, is you can sort of like log your food via like the voice logger. That saves me so much time, literally. Even when I'm getting steps in the evening or something like that, I can just run through my day, or even in the morning, I can run through what I'm gonna have. Like in reality, it just saves time instead of like logging it every single day and every single meal, right? Which is obviously gonna save you a lot of time. One thing I would say though is like, let me just zoom. Can I see? One thing I would say though is you don't really need to log your food every single day if you're going to be eating pretty much similar things, right? So what I do to save me time is usually my breakfast and lunch will sort of like stay the same. Snacks may differ slightly, but like let's say for example today's Sunday, right? So tomorrow I'll log my food. I'll use that Monday as like a template essentially. So I'm not putting oats, eggs, all the shit in every single week. I'm using tomorrow, for example, as a template throughout the week. And then, for example, if dinner I'm having something different, I'll just literally just tweak the dinner, right? Or just tweak the snacks, whatever I'm having. This saves me so much time. I used to waste so much time just filling it in every single day, but I'm filling in the same things. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? So I think just saving yourself a little bit of time there, filling in one day, using that as a bit of like a template and just edit that throughout the week instead of logging the same thing over and over again. It can seem quite monotonous. And then sometimes that can put people off, right? So I think I've just been looking at the wrong screen all this time, but you have to deal with it. And so yeah, I think that's just a little small tip, just sort of like save you time. And again, the easier you can make this journey on you, the easier obviously you're going to be able to stick to it, right? So it's like, how can we make, as I sort of said in the last clip, how can we make consistency the name of the game as easy as possible? Doing stuff like this, do you know what I mean, is going to obviously allow you to do that, right? And it's as many of these little things that we can stack up that's going to allow you to reach that goal much quicker. So just following on from the last clip there about obviously logging your food and stuff and using MyFitnessPal, whatever app you want to use. I think people overcomplicate it quite a lot. I mean, it's no fault of their own, just because there's that much shite out there on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. I will always say to people, when you are logging your food, or even when you're just thinking about your calories throughout the day, just solely focus on your protein target, whatever that is. So ideally a gram per pound of body weight. And then people say about lean body weight, just to keep it as simple as possible for you, just gram per pound of body weight. You weigh 180 pounds, whatever that is in kilos, whatever you weigh in kilos, translate it to pounds, and then that's obviously how much protein you need per day. If obviously you're trying to obviously build a lot more muscle in a short amount of time, I would obviously go up maybe like 1.2 or upwards of 1.4, but again, we won't go down that route right now. So what I'll always say to people is to keep things as simple as possible, just solely focus on your protein target and your calorie target, right? Your carbs and your fats, they'll make up what they make up. Some people will prefer low carb, some people will prefer low fat, some people prefer high fat, some people prefer high carb. I always go higher carb, lower fat personally, because I feel like it gives me the most energy and I can function the best off that in terms of training, but also just in terms of like day-to-day like energy levels and productivity, right? Some people feel like it makes them feel a little bit sluggish. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's doing a little bit of testing in the beginning and finding out what works for you, because again, it's not a one size fits all. Do you know what I mean? And even just speaking on the carb side of things at the minute, when it comes down to meal timings, like overall, in my opinion, apart from your pre and post workout, meal timings don't matter too much, in my opinion, right? That's just my opinion. Again, as long as you hit your calories and you hit your protein target throughout the day, whenever you hit them, it doesn't really matter. Apart from, like I said, so pre-workout, 15 to 45 minutes, quick banana or a squares bar or something that's gonna digest quite quickly, not sit heavy on your stomach. And it's going to provide you with a lot of energy in a short amount of time, right? Same with obviously your post-workout. People, again, through bad education and stuff like that, what people have been putting out there, people think as soon as you finish in the gym, you need to get a protein shake or a hit of protein as quickly as possible after that session, right? Or you're going to go catabolic, you're going to lose the muscle and lose the progression that you've just done in the gym. That is absolutely bollocks, right? Your body needs time to calm down so your digestion isn't awful. Right, so what I mean by that is, when you're in the gym, obviously your heart rate is elevated, right? A lot more than when you're just sitting down on the sofa, just chilling out. So you, for example, let it die down, because if you, for example, start shoveling a load of food in straight after your session when your heart rate is still quite elevated, again, your food isn't going to digest as well, right? So again, getting your body down to a lower heart rate, ideally I would say like 45 to 6 minutes after. Again, that food that obviously you're consuming after that, it's just obviously going to be it's just going to get digested so much more efficiently, and obviously that's essentially what you want, so you're not getting obviously bloating or digestive issues or anything like that, right? So again, the meal timings, don't overcomplicate and don't stress over them. Like again, some people will fast in the morning, some people won't. Some people find it gives them more energy if they don't eat in the morning. Some people find that they need that first meal like between, I don't know, 8 and 10 before work or something, right? So it's finding out what works for you. It's not a one size fits all, but do it in your unique way. Alright fellas, so end of the day, basically what I've got is around 350 calories left. So sometimes if I have some spare calories, I'll essentially put in place like it's some form of strategy, but like a bit of a macro filler. So it's a bit like a random snack or meal, if you want to call it that just hits my protein and obviously just finishes off my calories nicely, basically. So I get a little bit creative. It's not as creative as usual, just because I've had a bit of a calorie drop this week, so I'm having to deal with that. So what I've got is raisin skier. Is that going to focus? There we go. Raisin skier, 3 Biscoff biscuits, and some sultanas with a bit of honey in there as well. So stuff like this, like I said at the start of the video, having something like this which I really enjoy and I can still factor it into my day to day is massively important. Do you know what I mean? If I start cutting these things out and all I've eaten really is chicken and oats and this and that, it's like it becomes a bit of a drag. Do you know what I mean? So I think the longer you can keep this stuff in, like I said earlier, towards the back end of a cut or a diet or whatever you want to call it, you're gonna have to make these sacrifices, stuff like that, and stuff like this may not be able to be kept in. Do you know what I mean? But for as long as possible, this stuff is needed to keep me sane, to keep me on the straight and narrow. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, really good thing to do. Just sort of like pack out the remaining calories you got for that specific day. But yeah, so that's a wrap, I guess. So hopefully you've got something from this. Hopefully it's helped you out in some fun way, whether you're first starting out, you've been training a while, or wherever you are in your journey, essentially. So help a brother out. I've only got about 15, 17 subscribers or something. So if you've been here before, subscribe, drop a comment, like, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.